So now take method number 4, public. Guys, everyone, pay attention on this. Public class get class. What is the heading? Public class get class. This is capital. And not only this, public final class get class. Now, if method declared as final, that method cannot be override. Okay, so for second batch, you, Prabha, for yours batch, final topic, I guess it is not done. Okay, but it's a common sense, not a big deal to get. If anything become final, means cannot be changed. So if method declared as final, we cannot override. This is the heading. Take this. Now, guys, observe this. What is the return type of method? Class. What is the method name? Get class. Again, I am asking. Return type is class. Method name get class. It returns a class type of object which created by JVM at the time of class loading. Whenever you create an object, let's assume I am having test class. Test object I will create. I am calling t dot get class. Means I will get dot class type of object which created at the time of class loader in a JVM. Okay, which holds all class level information. That object copy this method will give. Get class returns class. Is everyone clear with this? That is the reason in JVM architecture I cover that class type of object. Otherwise here you will not able to understand. Is everyone clear? So what this method returns, guys? Okay, so this method returns class type object created by JVM at the time of class loading. Correct? In a loading stage? Hey, are you able to get? Pakka na? So, what is the use of this class type of object? What is the use? Correct. It is used to object. This object is used to fetch class level information. Is used to fetch what? Class level information about any Java class. Okay. Now class level information means class level information means fully qualified name of class, comma, number of variables, methods, constructor. Blocks never goes in memory. Clear with this, everyone? Almost 70-80% we already finished this method in a JVM architecture. Okay. Now only thing is code part is remaining, that anyhow I will show. And get one point, guys. Biggest headache is removed by one word, final. Can you override? No override. So no point to discuss what happened if it change and what happened if it not change. Entire drama is over. Okay. Obviously, guys, that method has to be final. Try to understand. Do you really think Java people allow you to change that object which created by JVM? That much big loophole that fellow will not give. That's the reason, final. Clear up? Note down this. Online people, done with the copy? Okay. Now guys, let's see how we will fetch class level information. Okay. So I am not understanding yesterday's override equals method. Can you explain at the end of session? Why end of session? Now only. Pratiksha, tell me what you not getting here? Do one thing, speak out only. I'll give you mic access. Wait. Where is P? Where is P? Speak out. Speak out.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah. Tell me.
Okay. Okay, so that last part that you're saying that auto upcasting is done internally, I'm not getting that concept, sir.
Auto upcasting is done internally. Okay. Do one thing. Can you open your Java notes for upcasting topic? Open it.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Did you open?
No, sir.
Pratiksha, did you open? Did you open, Pratiksha? After some time polymorphism. Speak out. Got it. Okay, speak out.
Yes, sir.
So, there, if you notice, I cover one example like class A extends to class B extends to class C. Can you go for that? Can you go in that example? Once we finish upcasting, downcasting definition,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
So, there I show you how upcasting happens. Create object of child class and give a parent class reference. This is
Yeah.
upcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah. After that, there is one more example what I cover. Can you go for it?
Yeah. There is a normal object creation, upcasting, and downcasting, sir.
Hmm. After that,
Yeah. Auto upcasting is there. But internally how it happens, I facing difficulty in that part.
auto
How it is
upcasting I give.
happening? Yeah, you given the notes, but in that example I'm not understanding that part which
Then
we
why
are
you
saying
didn't?
yesterday.
Why
I
you
was
didn't?
trying by myself. Yesterday, I tried to get that, and now I realize that I have to uh, get it clear from you.
Okay.
Yeah.
To make this confession from your end, that's the reason I went you back. Because I know I covered this topic in our previous session.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, first thing is, now listen everyone carefully. If whatever the topic I cover in a class, if that topic you are having a doubt, ask me that time only. Easy to repeat that same example. But now it is difficult to go back and again carry forward with that example. I hope you got the point. Second thing, whatever we learn from starting, everything will come in front of you. Let's wait for few more classes. Okay. So that's the reason I told you before only. If you have lacuna, if you have difficulty in previous concept, definitely next concept will be difficult. That is a base. This is a pillar. Okay. Now, Pratiksha, come back to the your
Yes, sir.
part. Auto upcasting means whenever we are giving argument in a method. See, let's say I have my own method. Observe public void M1. Observe on screen. And in a method parenthesis, I can give any argument. I can give primitive also. I can give non-primitive also. If I am giving primitive, those are keywords. Their casting concept will run. Like if I give long, then it will accept byte also, short also, int also, long also, auto casting, implicit casting, automatic casting. Simple. Okay. Similarly, if I give here any kind of non-primitive, just like demo, just like demo. So now this method can accept a demo class object or it's all child class object. When you provide, let's assume I'm giving you one example. Let's go to paint. Let's assume I have demo class. I have demo class and let's say demo. This is simple multi-level inheritance. Are you getting Pratiksha?
Yes, sir.
So this is simple multi-level inheritance. Okay. So demo gives property to A give property to B. Now for demo, tell me Pratiksha, how many childs are there?
Two, sir.
Two. Direct child A,
A.
indirect child is
Indirect.
B.
B.
So you are having a method like if you are having a method like public void m1 with a demo d, public void m1 with a demo d, then in this to call this method, let's say you will call this method like t dot m1. You in this m1 you have to provide either demo class object. Clear? This is direct call. Provide d here. That means demo class object. Or else you can provide all its child. If you have a equals to new of a, then if you provide a also t dot m1 of a, it is valid invalid? Everyone,
Yes,
valid
sir. Valid.
invalid? Okay, how it is valid? Because you are passing A, internally A is auto upcast to demo. This is auto upcasting. Same concept happened yesterday. We have demo class. This is the child of object class. So here I am having demo class. Automatically demo is a child of which class? Object class. Now we have a method. Public boolean equals object obj. So if we are having public boolean equals object obj, to call this method, if you give t dot equals d, then d, let's say it is a object of demo class. So automatically you only tell demo auto upcast to object. Same concept. Now is it clear? Auto
sir.
upcasting. What? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Any confusion?
No. Thank you, sir.
Anyone? Any clear? See, it's a straightforward concept, guys. If you give any data type in a method parenthesis, especially non-primitive, then it will accept that class object, or it can accept all its child. Problem solved. Whenever you will give child upcast to parent. Okay. Are you getting my point? Okay. Now, shall we go for get class? So let me create a object demo get class. Now, pay attention, guys. Demo get class. Here, let's assume if I really want to do a demo here, in this, assume, guys, I am having this is which method? Non-static. Static or non-static? Non-static. Let's say I will remove this. Non-static method. I am not printing anything. Okay. Now, this is static. What is this? Constructor. Can we have one more constructor? Okay. Now tell me how many constructors are here? How many methods? Clear with this? Now let me declare main method. Now tell me total how many methods are here? 3 methods. We have to count main method also. Okay. So now guys, let's say I want class level information. What I want, guys? Class level information. Let's assume like this class not made by me. Assume where it used. Let's assume this class is not made by me. This class made by some third party, some other person. I got this class. I want to know how many methods are here. What are those methods? I want to know how many constructors present inside that. What is the fully qualified name like package, class, everything. This information I want. Then what I will do, I will create object of demo get class DGC. Clear up to this? Now here DGC dot get class. Tell me it will returns me what? Class type of object. So class type of object means class of which type? Demo get class. So it will returns class of demo get class. Let's say any reference we can give C. Now I guess here okay, or else no need to mention here right now. That concept I will not show now. Okay, so get the class returns you what? Class. So this is which class type of object? Class type of object of this current dot class file when it goes to JVM. Now here boss, I will ask boss, can you please give me name of a class? Can you please give me what? Name of a class. Say. Are you getting fully qualified name? Yes, no. Getting package name dot class name. Okay. So it is for okay. Now let's say total number of methods. Now guys, I will write one piece of code which will give us total number of methods. You put focus on only this concept. Don't try to understand what is that code. We will understand that code automatically in our upcoming classes. Right now we are not on that level. I just want to show you how that is working. Am I clear, everyone? So I will say boss C, which is my class type of object reference. Can you please give me declared methods? Get the declared methods. Get the methods declared in this class. Is everyone clear? Get declared methods. It will return method. Okay. So you have to import this from reflection. So now from this, I will fetch one by one method. So M1 coming from M. As I told you, don't ask what is this code. Just focus on output now. Okay. M1. Run. Are you fetching 3 methods which present in a class? First method is main method, see, public static void. Then in a get class, main method having string array argument, string coming from java.lang package. Correct? Then second method is public static void M2 non-argument method. Public void M1. 3 methods are available. Any confusion up to this? That means, are you getting the point? How this object is used to fetch class level information? Hey, yes, no. Okay. So let me give one separator here. Okay. Now guys, I want, boss, can you please give me all the declared constructors present in a class? So I will say get declared constructors. Get what? Declared constructor. So here I will give, let's say, con. Import from java.lang.reflect. Yeah. So now guys, here every constructor C1 coming from con. Tell me how many constructors are here? Pakka? Confirm? Okay. So run this. Wait, let me add separator, otherwise we will get confused. Having two constructors. First is without argument. Second is int argument. Any confusion? Like this, all information you guys can take. Am I clear? Confirm? So guys, basically this is the use of what? Get class. Okay. Similarly, not only this, if let's say assume you really want to fetch total how many number of methods present in Chrome driver, write the code. Output will be in front of you. Are you getting the use? Okay. Let's say you have navigation. Remember? Navigation. Okay. Navigate dot back here, that dot. Okay. Refresh. Let's say I don't know what. How many methods are there in navigation? Call the code. You will come to know. Is everyone getting my point? Where you have to make changes? Instead of calling get class method on DGC, whatever navigation reference you are having, nav.get class. Get that class type of object. See, remaining code is same. Is everyone getting my point? This is the use of such a method. Okay. To be honest, in our testing point of view, mostly we will not need it. Okay. But in a development line, this concept having a huge scope. Because whenever someone want to deal, hey, that method, what is that method? No one remember as strictly which method exists where. Okay, for their cross verification, they will use this. Okay, by chance your bad luck is too much good, and someone asks you how get class method works, show me. Okay, clear? Note down. Huh? Variables also for that method is Saurav, what you said? Huh? Get declared fields. Import from java.lang.reflect. This is for variable. Okay, so print E. Okay, variable only I didn't give. Okay, Working? X and name. These two variables are present. Okay. So we can get, guys, all declared methods, all declared, what we can say, constructors, fields, variables, everything, and fully qualified name also. Okay. Now, how many want to see internal implementation of toString method? Internal implementation of toString method. If we didn't override, we will get package name dot class name at the rate something, at the rate something. That is none other than, say, internal implementation of toString. They are not doing any big deal, guys. Public string toString return get class dot get name, same method, na? Get class dot get name. This is only output, na? Package name dot class name. Huh? Then concat at the rate, just to make it something very, very special. So people will feel at the rate means something very important. Nothing big deal, they just do concatenation. Plus hash code and convert that hash code in hexadecimal. For that code is, now what is this? You don't worry. Here dot that's it. So what will happen? Whenever you are not overriding toString method, it will return what? Get class dot get name, means package name dot class name. At whatever the value of hash code, convert into where? Like that. Simple. And some people say it is address of object. Is it really address? Okay. So clear with this? Confirm? Okay. I am doubtful about this method. Let me just check. See, if you want to check, guys, really that is only internal implementation. What we will do, we can prove it here. So let's say I will print what? DGC, that's it. Is I am overriding toString method? Hash code method? No. So as per object class, whatever the value will come. So what is the output? This is the output, correct? Now I will override and I will give same I will give same implementation what those people give. So what is the code? Return what? Get class dot get name plus at the rate plus integer dot to hex string. Sorry, I changed the method name only. What is the method name here? To hex string. Okay. After that, inside this, call what? Hash code method. This is the internal implementation. Now, which output will run? My own toString method will run. Correct now? For our reference, I will give my toString output. Is it same? Is it same? Complete postmortem of two-string method. How they implement internally. What is their code? Get class dot get name at the rate 2x string. If let's say maybe you guys can develop your own programming language, there instead of at the rate you give colon. Some intelligent mind will think, okay, this is also something. Whatever you give, that will only they become. So if you give, what will they change? Colon this. Like this, those people develop. Getting the point? Everyone, note down. Done? Everyone? Online people? Guys, done? Everyone? Okay. Okay. So observe there. Output nothing really. Guys, you people want to write output? Execute the program, you will get it. Okay. Now, this is only now. So, guys, now how many methods of object class are done? Four. What are those? Equal get class. What is next? What is next? Finalize. And after finalize, clone. Can we take finalize now? Finalize. Finalize we can take. Take next heading. Observe the heading carefully. Okay. Up to now, each and every method, okay, each and every method, guys, whatever we learn, that is public string to string, public hash code, public equals, public get class. This one is take the heading. Done with the heading? Everyone? Okay. Now, guys, listen what I'm asking. For 2 minutes, come. For 2 minutes, guys, okay, let's come out. Okay. What is the role of garbage collector? Subhasmita, what is the role of garbage collector? Sunil? Variables. Vidya Lakshmi?
Destroy the all object.
All object. Except class type of object. Okay. Why class type of object should not be removed?
No, sir.
What will happen if you destroy class type of object? Prashant? Garbage collector? Means is it like you guys remember only two words, destroy and useless? But destroy what and useless what? That you guys not aware. Huh? It used to destroy useless object present in a heap area. Okay, Arun, which object is useless? Programmer declared object useless. How it will came to know like this particular object is useless now? Abhishek?
So the object which are present in the stack area, that object are stack area object are used. Which object are
First of all, object never goes in stack area. Object always goes in heap area. So which object consider as useless? Nishit? It will came to know other objects are useless.
after executing
Saurabh?
After execution of the main method in the stack area, means main stack is executed. After that, they will call the garbage collector, and then there are no use of the programmer defined object of that Java program.
But that is not my question. My question is, how garbage collector will come to know this object is useless?
Because that is a defined object is executed already by the main method.
as soon as the main method is as soon as the main stack is destroyed, automatically whatever records given to the all objects that are programmer will be removed from the objects. So
The object which don't have any reference, that object consider as useless object, dereferred object. The object which is not having any reference. Lo, you guys come to the mock. I will give you hangover only. Genuinely.
on top of it, why class type of object will not be deleted?
Very simple, because that object never get dereferred. That object always have a reference from JVM. Garbage collector have a power to kill the object, but it can kill only that object which is not having any reference. Okay. If that object has a reference, garbage collector will think, no, this object is useful. It is having reference, some programmer will use it. So I cannot remove it. Clear? Confirm? So now, particularly, now be specific and give me accurate answer. What is the role of garbage collector? Wait. Rajeshwari.
To destroy the useless dereferred object.
To
Destroy useless
dereferred objects present in heap area. Still something is missing. Only after main stack is destroyed. Or instead of this, you can say as soon as main method execution is over. Is everyone clear?
Yes.
Say complete answer. Okay, don't say answer in a keywords. Means it is like something. What is inheritance? One class acquiring to another class. People used to say forget only by using extends, because they remember only that one class giving to another class. Say complete answer. Remember this. Okay. Just like some silly mistake happens in interview. We will say, someone asks what is runtime polymorphism. Everyone will say definition, everything, all that thing. What is the example of runtime polymorphism? Method overriding. No one will say without upcasting it is incomplete. If you add that line, that makes you stand separately in a special line in front of interviewer. Interviewer will say, hey, this person having something extra than others. Obviously, you will get first priority. Think on it. Just like this, garbage collector. Used to destroy useless object, but when, how, where, that person never tells. Say completely, like what, when, how, where, why, everything we should cover. What is garbage collector? Used to destroy dereferred object from heap area as soon as main method execution is over. Is everyone clear on this? Confirm? And one extra point in that line, to clean up heap memory for better performance. Everything you have to cover. Am I clear? Okay. Now, come back to the interesting fact now. Garbage collector used to destroy objects, dereferred object from heap area. Now my question is, who trigger garbage collector? Who invoke garbage collector? JVM. Who invoke garbage collector? JVM. Now my concern is, can I invoke garbage collector?
No, sir.
Can programmer invoke garbage collector? Are you getting my question?
Yes.
Can programmer invoke garbage collector? This is my question. Garbage collector invoked by JVM. Okay. So now see here, guys. By the way, for garbage collector, I will use short form GC. Okay. So observe here. GC is used to destroy which object? Dereferred object from heap area after main method execution to perform hey, go low. To perform cleanup activity for better performance. Is everyone clear? Okay. Now guys, my question is, GC always invoke by JVM as soon as main stack frame is destroyed from stack area. Correct. As soon as destroyed from stack area. Now my question is, can programmer invoke garbage collector explicitly? Okay. Now, guys, I know you people will think yes, maybe. You people will think no, maybe. Okay, maybe yes, maybe no. This is only the answer. First of all, guys, before going for answer of this question, can programmer invoke garbage collector explicitly? Rather than that, we should focus. Is there a need to invoke garbage collector explicitly? See, 200% sure, if there is a need, there is a way. There will be the project. No need, no way. Think carefully. What?
We are in mistake created 100 objects. In that 100 objects, we are not going to use those 100 objects again and again. Few of the objects will be used once and left aside. The memory has to be cleaned by program if it is possible. So for better performance, the programmer can invoke the garbage collector to clean the zero objects. So he has to be the person.
Anyone else? What do you think? Is there a need to invoke garbage collector explicitly? Online people, you can also give reply. Any other concept exists in your mind? Means except Lakshman, everyone is blank.
So if class level objects are low, then
Class level objects are
I mean, class type objects are low,
more.
like if thousands of classes are created by program, then that level will be full. At that time, we will.
At that time, we have to shut down JVM. No other way. Okay. Listen, guys, carefully. Okay. There is a need, huge need to invoke garbage collector explicitly. Okay. What is that need is, as Lakshman says, okay, whatever he says, almost 70-80% right on track. Okay, I'll just superfine that. Listen carefully. In a real time, to be honest, till now you didn't saw how real code works, how real code looks. In a real time, you may get 50,000 lines of code. Okay, and that is the average number. So it may be more than that. Okay, if you go in a development line, you will come to know. Okay, in a automation, hardly our code will go max to max 2000 lines. Max to max 2000, not than that. But in development, code will go more than 50,000. Are you getting my concept? So if there is 50,000 lines are there, in a code. That means there may be the chances the object which you create, okay, whatever in that 50,000 line execution code, whatever the object you create, those objects destroyed from the memory at the end of execution. Are you getting my point? At the end of execution by JVM, by garbage collector. Now, very common sense level point. Why we should do interfere in garbage collector business? That fellow doing, na? Let it do. I don't have any problem. You will have huge problem when you have huge number of code. Let's say you create an object at line number 40. You know, till line number 1400 you will need that. After line number 1400, you never going to use that. Tell me, as a programmer, you are aware this fact or not? Hey, yes, no, correct? As a programmer, you will aware. Harsh, your call going. So as a programmer, you must be aware, like boss, after this, I am not going to use it. If you are not going to use it from line number 1400 till the remaining line, that object consume unnecessary memory or not? That will affect the performance. Is everyone getting my point? Then it is not fine. Like after 1400, I will only call garbage collector. Hey boss, come remove this. Now onwards, I don't need this object. Remove it. So in the execution only it will come, remove, and performance will become improved. Memory got clean. Now tell me, there is a need to invoke garbage collector explicitly? Yes, no. That means can we? Yes, there is a way. There is a need, there is a way. Okay. Remember guys, that slogan that person make little bit wrongly. That person told there is a will, there is a way. Reality is there is a need, there is a way. Without need, you will not have will. So can we invoke garbage collector explicitly?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now my concern is why programmer should invoke garbage collector explicitly. So guys, answer is whenever programmer deals with huge number of code, then to clean up memory for better performance, programmer has to invoke garbage collector explicitly. Is everyone clear with this? Confirm?
Yes, sir.
Pakka?
Yes, sir.
Now, how to invoke garbage collector explicitly? That we have to see. Okay. So, how to invoke garbage collector explicitly? Guys, answer is there are two ways available to invoke garbage collector explicitly. One way is highly popular, almost every person is aware about it, Java person. Second way, because of first person popularity, second didn't get name only. So most of the people not aware there is another way to invoke garbage collector. Popular way is system.gc, and popular way which is not getting name but it is available and we can invoke garbage collector in this way also, that is runtime.get runtime.gc. Is everyone clear? Huh? Okay, so how many ways to invoke garbage collector? What are those? And runtime.get runtime.gc. Clear of this, everyone? So I guess now there is a time to invoke garbage collector. Write down this first. Equal. Done? Everyone? Okay. So now what I am saying, listen carefully. Is it possible to invoke garbage collector from programmer side? Yes. Why? For better performance. Okay. How many ways? What are those? System.gc or runtime.getRuntime.gc. Now, guys, now how to invoke this explicitly? What kind of drama had takes place over there? Okay, that we will see in our Monday session. So we will have our next class on Monday. Tomorrow we have automation class on 8:30. Now for OMCA 6. Okay, from for OMCA 6, tomorrow at 1 p.m. we have a Java class. Fine. Is everyone clear with the schedule? Okay. Fine. See you tomorrow for automation.
As you said on that day, that in our computer, JVM has 1 GB of RAM for deep area and 2 GB for stack and another 1 GB for remote. The same condition in every computer means whatever the server and everything.
Because that is a configuration of JDK. That is not depend on computer.
Only 1 GB is there.
So that memory is taken from the hard disk there.
Yeah, consumed there.
This programmer has to know that now 1 GB is code.
That's the reason we will deal that when we will discuss the concept of shutdown JVM.